Welcome to National Junior College Football here on MCTV Sports. The 38th annual Valley of the Sun Bowl live from Scottsdale Community College. The 14th ranked Artichokes will be taking on the Blinn Buccaneers. Alongside the NJCAA Hall of Fame coach Joe Kirsting, I'm Mike Carotenuto. Well, Coach, you've coached in 14 of these Valley of the Sun Bowl games. What did it mean to you to be a part of this game?
Well, when you're in the Valley of the Sun Bowl, it means you've had an outstanding season. You know, it's a culmination of a lot of hard work, a lot of tough times in the off season, and it's just a real honor to be able to play in this game. And the other part of it is you get to compare yourself with a nationally ranked team from another part of the country. And so you get an idea of, you know, what is it really like to play against some of these elite schools from over other parts of the country, and you know, you compare yourself and how your program's doing.
Well, 3 of those games were national championships, which Glendale all did win. Maybe it's a national championship game, one of the other games, but what are 1, 2 of the memories that stick out to you from the 14 games you coached in?
Well, my first memory is 1988. That was my second year as a head coach. We had won a grand total of 3 games my first year, 1987, and in '88. We go undefeated. We beat Snow College the last regular season game of the year to be catapulted into the #1 ranking, and got the chance to play Grand Rapids Junior College for the national championship. And on I think it was the second or third play of the game, our All-American tailback blows out his knee. Wasn't touched. It was a real wet night that night, and he planted and his knee went the wrong direction. So we go with a backup tailback, and we're worried because we're a big run team at that point in our careers. But we came away with a 15-2 victory, really odd score for any game, but a great win for our program and put us on the map. So that's probably my biggest memory.
And that game was actually played on a rainy Thanksgiving night. Now it's the first Saturday of December, or it got moved to the first Saturday of December. But the first Valley of the Sun Bowl was played in 1981. It was at Phoenix College, but it was between Ricks College of Idaho and Arizona Western. Ricks won that game 28-21. It was the only time that one Maricopa school was not featured in the game. But throughout the years, there's been some unbelievable games and performances. The Valley of the Sun Bowl has been the NJCAA national title game 3 times, in 1988, 2000, and 2005. All 3 times they've been hosted and won by the Glendale Community College Gauchos. The 1988 game was the first national title game for GCC. Glendale squared off against the Grand Rapids Community College Raiders from Grand Rapids, Michigan. The game was played on a rainy Thanksgiving night. The Gauchos defense made some big plays to set the tone. The first was by defensive back Mike Smith, who picked off this pass to stop a Grand Rapids drive. Then on the next Raiders drive, GCC recovered a fumble deep in their territory. This turnover would lead to a score. Gaucho running back Travis Cutright takes the handoff, makes a cut, and outruns everyone down the near sideline 82 yards for the touchdown. Cutright's 82-yard run was a new Valley of the Sun Bowl record, topping Arizona Western's Daniel Colwell's 80-yard touchdown run in the inaugural game. With Grand Rapids punting out of their own end zone, Gaucho defensive back Muhammad Oliver charges through the line and blocks the punt out of the end zone for the safety. After the free kick by Grand Rapids, Cutright struck again, this time with a 64-yard touchdown run, putting GCC up 15-0. Grand Rapids turned in the longest play of the game on the extra point attempt by the Gauchos. The Raiders blocked it, and Steve Looney scoops it up and goes 95 yards down the far sideline to the end zone for 2 points. Just like they did all season long, the Gaucho defense closed out the game. Muhammad Oliver added this interception to stop another GRCC drive late in the second half. Glendale won 15-2. Coach Kirsting's Gauchos finished the season as undefeated national champions. The 2005 national championship would be a rematch of the 1988 game between the Raiders and the Gauchos. This time around, the game was a high-scoring nail-biter that came down to the last minute of play. Grand Rapids special teams made the first big play of the game by blocking this punt in the end zone that was caught by Xavier Oldham for the touchdown. The GRCC offense started making big plays. Running back Leonard Curry rattled off a big 52-yard run deep into Gaucho territory. 2 plays later, Billy Fern finds Anthony Townsend in the corner of the end zone for the score. The Raiders defense continued to dominate the first quarter when Brandon Westbrook recovered a Johnny Sanchez fumble, then darted 42 yards for the touchdown. GRCC led 21-10. The Gauchos swung the momentum in their favor in the second quarter. Johnny Sanchez made up for his fumble by rushing for 2 scores of his own. The first was a 23-yard run, and the second was from 6 yards out. The Gaucho defense asserted itself in the game by snagging 2 interceptions. Torrey Huckabee had the first and returned it to the Grand Rapids 5-yard line. The second was by Reno Piccioni on an underthrown pass by Billy Fern. Both interceptions led to touchdowns. Tim Brockwell connected with his leading receiver Eric McCain from 25 yards away. The touchdown by McCain highlighted the big day he had. Brockwell hooked up with McCain several times to keep drives going, and McCain's effort earned him MVP of the game. GCC took advantage of the biggest play of the game, which happened to be the longest play. When Marcus Turner fields the kickoff at his own 10-yard line and somehow manages to escape some tackles and cruise down the sideline for a 90-yard touchdown. Like a true heavyweight fight, Grand Rapids punched back, sparked by another pick six. Carl Wimbley takes Brockwell's pass 42 yards to the house. The Raiders would get 2 more fourth-quarter scores. The first was a 40-yard pass from Fern to Reggie Smith. The second was from Fern to Kyle Curtis from 5 yards out. The Raiders tried the 2-point conversion, but the pass was incomplete in the corner of the end zone. Glendale held on for the 50-48 victory. And just like in 1988, they were undefeated national champs. There's been no lack of excitement or great performances throughout the years, even when it wasn't the national championship game. In 2001, the Broncbusters of Garden City, Kansas took on the SEC Artichokes. Garden City's James Gerald catches his punt, starts upfield, picks up some blocks, and outruns everyone for the 65-yard touchdown. Garden City's power backfield of KJ Harris and Tyson Thompson were big factors in the second half. Harris gets the ball on this play, turns on the Jets, and goes 61 yards for the touchdown. Not to be outdone, Thompson gets this handoff and goes 26 yards for the score. It wasn't all Garden City when it came to big plays. Artichoke quarterback Jack Tomko led a second-half charge. He threw 3 touchdowns. The first went for 35 yards to Marcus Gonzalez. The second went to Shannon Holcomb from 19 yards. The third may have been the catch of the day. Tomko hooked up with Matt Miller, who got behind the defense for the 38-yard touchdown. Scottsdale's late comeback was stopped just short as Garden City held on for a 39-31 win. The 2002 game was a rematch of the 2000 National Championship between Garden City and Glendale. The Gauchos won that game 13-7. This game was a complete opposite. It had a lot of big plays, was decided in the last minute, and had a record-breaking performance. What an exciting history the Valley of the Sun Bowl game has had. And speaking of record-breaking performances, Coach, I know you probably don't want to remember this, but Garden City's Tyson Thompson in 2002 had 24 carries for 318 yards and 3 touchdowns. What a performance there, but the Gauchos did get the 46-42 victory. Well, Scottsdale and Blinn are going to add to the history of this game. Coach and I will break it down next. Back here at Scottsdale Community College for the 38th Valley of the Sun Bowl. Well, Coach, let's get right into it. Blinn College 6-4. Brian Mahan, their defense has been good. We're going to go offense first, though. A lot of yards, over 500 yards a game for this team out of Texas. And man, they are complete. They're a very balanced team.
Yeah, when you look at Coach Mahan's bio, it's all about offense. You know, he's got a dynamic offensive approach. They're going to average 200 yards a game on the ground, over 300 yards a game in the air. They got a great quarterback in Brock Landis. he, believe it or not, completing 92% of his passes, which is just incredible. Now, the one thing they've got to be careful of is the turnover bug. And he's thrown 7 interceptions. The other quarterback they've used before him threw 10 interceptions. So that's one of the things that Scottsdale, will try to get some takeaways. Now, he's got a key receiver in number 1, Carrick Wheatfall. Carrick is averaging like 17.5 every time he touches the ball, which is outstanding at the wide receiver position. So he's got a core of receivers to get the ball to, but can they keep the pressure off the quarterback is going to be one of the keys in this game.
Well, speaking of pressure, their defensive ends, they've gotten pressure, and we know attacking Scottsdale's offense is going to be big. We know Scottsdale wants to put the ball up in the air. But what have you seen from this defense coming into this game? Can they hope to contain Scottsdale?
Well, Kirsten Williams and Adrian Johnson are 2 dynamic pass rushers. And when you can, if they can get Scottsdale into the 3rd and long situation, because that's the real down and distance. It's hard to rush the quarterback on 1st down. Because on 1st down, you don't know if they're running, you don't know if they're going to throw the quick screen game. But if you can get them to 3rd and long, they got to get the ball further down the field. And when you do that, these dynamic pass rushers are getting that 3-point stance and get up the field and cause havoc. And Johnson himself, Adrian Johnson, has had 8 sacks, 10 tackles for losses, which is really outstanding for a defensive lineman. And so, we expect a lot from those 2 young men if they can get Scottsdale into that long yardage situation.
Well, the Artichokes, like I said, come in the game ranked 14th in the country in the NJCAA final regular season polls for Coach Madowski. 4 out of the last 6 years in this game in the Valley of the Sun Bowl, and he's a defensive coordinator. Let's start with that Scottsdale defense. Again, they've kind of had that, as cliche as it is, but that bend don't break mentality, and they've caused turnovers of their own.
Well, Scottsdale traditionally has been an outstanding defensive team. Like you said, Coach Madowski, his background, his history is playing great defense. The one thing they do differently than many schools is they don't play a lot of guys on defense. So they're counting on great conditioning from their players. They're also going to be counting on their offense to try to control the ball a little bit more so they aren't on the field as long. So I'm going to be curious as we watch this game, will Coach Madowski be playing more, especially in that front 7? Those are the guys that have to take on the blockers every play. They got to get up the field and get pressure on the quarterback. So will depth come into play on a game like this? I'm expecting a Big 12 contest today. Both of these teams are going to be tough to stop. I'm thinking we're going to get scores in the 40s probably for the winning team. And so the key for Scottsdale's defense is going to be, can they stay fresh for 4 quarters?
And then for the Scottsdale offense, obviously Tommy Ziegler's been with Coach Madowski for 13 years. His quarterbacks have always done well. They have to have the talent. What do you see from their offense?
Well, first of all, Devin Neal's an outstanding receiver. He leads their receiving corps. And Neal's averaging like 19 yards every time he catches the ball, which is amazing. I believe he's got 10 touchdown receptions already. Now, what happened early in the season is Corey Lyles, the starting quarterback, was leading the country. His offensive production was amazing, and then he had a terrible game down at Pima. They come home against Arizona Western. He didn't play real well in that game either, and so now they started using Albert Howard, and Howard has come in and done a really nice job. And so tomorrow, in this afternoon's game, we're expecting that both of these quarterbacks are going to be getting plenty of playing time.
Well, it will be a very interesting chess match here from the field at Scottsdale Community College. Exciting game, Coach. Well, you heard, in the 40s, whoever gets to 41st probably can win the game. And we've had a lot of high-scoring games in the Valley of the Sun Bowl. We're going to step aside, but when we get back, the Hall of Fame coach, Joe Kersing, will be up in the booth with Jeff Lowry and the call of the game here from the 38th Annual Valley of the Sun Bowl.